Good morning, everyone, or I should say buongiorno. I'm Alessandro Boga, the Italian specialist of Wilson Daniels, streaming live from my tiny apartment in New York City. Don't worry, it will get more exciting shortly. I'm going to share our screen with Federica Mascheroni-Stianti of Castello di Volpaia. She's currently in her family estate in Chianti Classico. I'll ask Federica some questions, but please feel free to type in your own questions and I'll be happy to repeat them for you. Let's connect with Federica now. Waiting for Federica to accept my connection. Ciao Federica.
Ciao.
How are you?
Come stai?
Very good.
Good.
How are you?
Good, very good. In the middle of the vineyard, so what else can I ask?
Yeah, it looks like a bright sunny day, huh?
It's amazing. Yesterday was so cloudy and cold, and today, this is for you.
Great, great, awesome. I'm very glad.
Yes.
Okay, so we've been so overwhelmed here in the States by terrible news coming from Italy lately. So we want to
Yes.
show how the work in the vineyard keeps going, even in challenging situations like the ones we're living in. So let's start by you talking a little bit about your family and the winery. And
Yes.
remember, it's April Fool's, pesce d'aprile.
Yes.
So jokes are
Esatto.
allowed.
So please be kind with me, Alessandro.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We will be very kind with you.
So I'm in this moment. I'm middle of the vineyards of Volpaia, one of the new vineyards. You know, Volpaia is a tiny village of 12th century on top of a mountain. In this moment, I'm around 500 meters above the sea level, means probably 5 per 3,
It's about
1,800.
1,800 feet, yeah.
Yes, and Volpaia goes even upper, another 100 meters, so other 300 feet. 300, yeah, it's
About
correct.
2,000,
Yeah.
2,100, yeah.
And so the village is a village of the 12th century, where inside you have all the different activities of Volpaia. So when you get there, you feel like you are in the medieval time, and then you start to open the different doors and you find all the different activities of Volpaia. So it's like live in the real old Tuscany when you get there.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, and so it's a winery that is a village. So most of the people that works for us lives also with us. So in this little small place. So it's very kind because everybody can go quickly to work and have a roof on the top, but at the same time we can control them. They cannot say, "Oh no, today I'm sick," or things like this.
Yeah.
So they can be under control. No, luckily they can stay in a place like this one, where in a moment like the one that we are living now, we can still have the possibility to stay outside and to work the field. So this is really important.
Great. So you see actually people walking around the town of Volpaia right now?
In the town, we try really to don't walk very much. We stay much more in the vineyards, quite separated one from each other. So in the cellar, the work is limited as much as possible. So like one person per cellar or things like this. So you still have somebody walking around, but obviously not tourists. Yeah, this is for us. It starts usually to be a very high season with a lot of tourists coming around. And now, unfortunately, no tourists, only workers.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Let's remind our followers that right now Italy is in a completely lockdown of in terms of people are not supposed to walk around unless for essential businesses. Fortunately, winemaking and agriculture, it is an essential business, so the works in the vineyard keeps going.
Yes, exactly. It's one of the only work that keeps going. This one. And then obviously alimentary stuff or necessary for the hospital, things like this.
Yeah.
You see now some cars coming around only because it is the moment, it's 5 p.m. for us. And so it's the moment that all the workers just left the vineyards and going back in their own houses. So you can see quite a big traffic in this moment, maybe in the back of me.
Yeah, yeah, no, I can see that. All right, why don't you take us a little bit to take a tour of the vineyards?
Yes, I bring you in one of the newest vineyards. So maybe I turn 1 second and you don't see anymore my face, but you see the vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
So we are in the middle of one of the newest vineyards. So you can see this is very new plant that we just turned, because now this is the season where we are pruning and we are making ready all the vines for the new plantation, for the new crop of this year. But what is nice is to see the type of the soil of Volpaia. You can really understand what is the soil. So it's galestro, but also you can have, that is very typical of this place, il macigno del Chianti. That is, oh, let me see, where is it? Okay, oh, sorry, this is my dog that got inside the camera. This one is the Macigno del Chianti. That is very typical and very unique of this place, because it's a type of stones that it's, you can see it's made by like little pieces of sand compressed. And this type of soil allowed to have a lot of variation for the roots. At the same time, make the life of the vines very difficult. So it's very difficult for the vines to survive, but at the same time, make a smaller quantity of product to get the best quality at the end of grape inside the plant.
Yeah.
And you see, yeah.
Yeah, no, I say, let's remind also our followers that we are in the district of Radda in Chianti, which is one of the communes of the Chianti Classico. Yeah.
Yes, actually, I turn the camera back. Over there, straight in the front of me, more or less, behind the trees, you have Radda. So we are facing south, and so Radda is on that direction. So most of the vineyards, down there you have other vineyards. Sorry, it's that there is the sunset, so that is the south. So south is here, and sunset is the other side over there. So unfortunately, you have the light of the sun that is coming inside the camera, and so cannot allow you to see very well. You see, here you have plants that are much longer and other ones that they are smaller. And this is because it's we are only at the third year. And so you have different plants that are growing in a different way.
Right. So when is this vineyard going to be going into production?
In a couple of years.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, still we are now. This is a very important moment to control the vineyard, the vines, and to be able to let them grow as best as possible. So we are replanting the one that's dead, and we are pruning in the best way all of them to be able to get the best result after. And with this type of soil, it's always quite difficult and to let them live at the beginning of their life.
Sure. Yeah.
And as you in this vineyard you cannot see very well, but I will move to another vineyard where you can see also that we are working very much on the ground of the vineyards. So we are doing in inerbimento. So in this one that is new, we have a lot of stones coming out. To control, you can see there, you see all the herbs in the vineyards, to control the humidity and to keep inside. So with the can you hear me? Let me see.
Trouble connection. Keep going.
I lost a little bit the connection. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we are in rural Italy, so it makes sense if we lose sometimes some connection.
Yes, sorry. I move only about a couple of meters and I lost you.
Okay, where we are here?
Now we are in the vineyards of Coltasala, so our single vineyards.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the single vineyards.
So we have 3 single vineyards in Volpaia. One of the oldest one is Coltasala. So it's a vineyard that is called Coltasala, and so the vineyard gave the name to the wine. It's made with the Sangiovese and with a 5% of Mammolo, a very local grape, quite uncommon. So the touch of violet to the wine. And here is an old vineyard with the old style of growing. So as you can see, instead of having one vine per place, you have one next to each other. This was the old system to make a challenge between the plant and to give them much more competition, and so to be able to get even less product from per plant. And another point that I want to show you is that in this period, we are also replanting some of them, as you can see from this one, this new one. So this is about 30 years old, and this one is about 1 year. So
wow.
Just planted.
Striking difference.
Yes. So Sangiovese is not like a Cabernet Sauvignon, so we'll never show really a big piece of tree here, but this one is over 30 years of a plant.
Yeah. How far are we from bud break?
From?
Bud break.
Bud break. Ah, yeah, sorry. I didn't. Almost there. I'll show you.
Okay.
I mean, almost done. Not everywhere, as you can see here. Sorry, it doesn't make a focus. Here, it's already out. In some areas a bit lower in altitude, maybe they are not yet out. It depends about the areas. But we are in the moment that they are breaking now.
Okay.
So they're coming out the leaves in this moment.
Is there been a little hot, warm winter in Italy this year?
It has been really the most crazy winter, I think, of my life. I think the most cold week was the past week. And then before was very warm. So like yesterday night, it went below 0 in some areas. So it was very dangerous. Last week, we had the snow.
Wow.
We didn't have snow all over the year, all over the winter time, and we had the snow last year. So it's really uncommon here in this area. I should say in all over Italy. Maybe it's much more correct. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So you definitely see the effects of climate change coming to Chianti Classico as well.
Yes, also here. Yeah.
Okay.
It's I mean, a winter like this never has a summer in the 2017. Never had like that one. So it's like, well, we will see. It's agriculture, as always. It's always unpredictable. So you have to fight with natural, and what they decide, you will have to follow.
Sure. Since we are at Coltasala now, why don't you tell the story of Coltasala, because it's got quite a unique story. It could tell you the story of Chianti Classico itself.
Yes, because actually Coltasala has a life that started before. Everybody now talks about Super Tuscan, Gran Selezione, things like this. This was one of the pioneers of the 100% of Sangiovese. I can call this wine almost 100 because it's a 95% Sangiovese, but the 5% of Mammolo. Mammolo comes from the same family of the Sangiovese, so it's not so different in the structure, genetically talking, of the Sangiovese. So it's one of the first 100% of Sangiovese that came out in the market in the moment that you were not allowed to have 100% of Sangiovese in a Chianti Classico. It was a time that you had to have white grapes inside and no more than 70% of Sangiovese. So it came out as the lowest category, il vino da tavola, table wine, but with the structure that you have now in the bottle. So it went through the history of the Chianti Classico, so it became a IGT Super Tuscan. But then when the Chianti Classico changed the rules and allowed it to have 100% of Sangiovese, we brought the Coltasala under the Chianti Classico rules. So it became a Chianti Classico Riserva. And then in the 2010, Chianti Classico created another appellation, another another step of the Chianti Classico, created the Gran Selezione. And so from the 2015, Coltasala is a Gran Selezione. It's still the same wine. So
Yeah.
it went through the history of Italy, but it's still the same wine.
Yeah.
Nothing
Inside the bottle, always the same wine, but the appellation changed four times. Vino da tavola,
Yes.
Toscana, Chianti Classico Riserva, and finally Gran Selezione.
Exactly. You can understand how it's complicated the life in Italy.
Exactly. Hopefully it's
Easy
going to be
for
the
the
last
son.
one. Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
hope so. No more change. Yes. So we are very happy. We can say that they have make a dress for the wine each time because they were changing the rules on the wine. Because I'm quite proud
Right.
of the wine. So
Right.
yeah.
Why don't you speak also a little bit about the other two single vineyards, Balifico
Sorry.
and Casanova?
Yes. So we can say in this in the section in the front of me are all the single vineyards. So all the single vineyards more or less are from the famous altitude that I mentioned before, 1,300 feet above the sea level, and goes down to 1,200, 1,100 feet. So all the single vineyards are more or less located there. Is it correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, grazie. So we have Coltasala that is here, Balifico that is at the other side. Below you have Casanova, and then the Balifico, it's composed by Sangiovese and Cabernet Sauvignon. The Cabernet Sauvignon is a bit down there. So this is, we can say, the south area. So down there is the south. So it's the south area, facing south and southeast. And so we have Coltasala that we said Sangiovese basically. Then after the Coltasala, we created the Balifico that is Sangiovese with a 35% of Cabernet Sauvignon. So we can say like our bodybuilder guy, the one that went to the gym and made a little bit of muscles because of the Cabernet that make much more intensity of the color and much more in the body. And then the Casanova, that is a tiny project started in the 2006. Tiny in numbers of bottles, but definitely is an important project for us because up there we have we got back a tiny vineyard with vines, even the Sangiovese very old, over 60, 70 years old. That vines are really in the soil. You know, Sangiovese, because of the Phylloxera, cannot get through directly in the soil. Usually you have to have a different foot. So that one are really Sangiovese in the soil. And we found 25 plants like this that we have multiplied and placed in that single vineyard made of this autochthon Sangiovese from Volpaia. So it's a Sangiovese that you cannot find some other places. It's not made from somebody else. It's local from this area. So we want to keep the history of Volpaia. We can say that this type of project started even before, because even Coltasala is a clone of Sangiovese that we found here, multiply and place it in this vineyard. But in this project of the Coltasala, we started with one. And with Casanova, my brother looks always bigger, 25.
25, yeah.
So Casanova is the name of the vineyard. I know it sounds very common, but it's everybody has a new house. And so everybody has a vineyard with a new house. And so Casanova is the name of the vineyard, and Puro because it's pure Sangiovese from Volpaia.
Right. And you you use that vineyard as a nursery, right? Where you're grafting all the other plants, plants around the other vineyards.
It's going to be our future. We are going to try to do something like this. We never made a wine of one of these type of clones, but we always blend the clones. But yes, we are trying to, in the future, to have that one as like our nursery, where we can create our different Sangiovese in the different vineyards.
Cool.
So keep the history of Volpaia as much as possible. The
Yes.
unique.
Yes. Cool. So why don't we speak a little bit about the 2017 vintage, because that's the
Yeah.
vintage that we currently have in the market for all the Chianti Classicos and the Balifico. We are about to get the 2018 regular Chianti Classico, but right now for the Riserva and for the single vineyards, we have 2017. So
Yes. 17, as I mentioned before, is a bit crazy vintage. 17, we didn't see the water at all. So the plant had to survive since the beginning. So since the beginning, the springtime had to drop down like the flowers. And so this meant that had to reduce the quantity per plant since the beginning. So the plant said, okay, I don't have water, I have to survive. And it was so rare. Usually you have a nice spring and then you have a hot summer or things like this. In this case, no water since the beginning. So as I mentioned, because before I show you the type of the soil, the roots are used to go really deeply down. So they went down to get the water. So they, at the end, was not easy, but we are really happy because we had a small bunch of grape, very tiny berry, but at the end with incredible intensity. So I don't know, like 2012 was very hot at the end of the vintage, so you have a little bit of like overripe grape, and actually in the 17 you have freshness. So thinking about a hot vintage, you'd say, no, it's not possible freshness. No, you still have that freshness, you have intensity, and you don't have overripe flavors. And so it's incredibly different hot vintage than any other I ever had. So this is the reason why I'm going to do all the wines. So Coltasala, Balifico, all of them, also Il Puro, in a smaller quantity, because obviously we had a smaller production. But at the end, we are really happy with the result, and people were really surprised. I think the altitude of Volpaia helped it very much also, because people that are much more lower in the valley probably suffered a bit much more the hot weather. But at the end, we are really happy. Luckily, it was not easy. My winemaker is still a little bit excited and stressful about that vintage.
yeah, unfortunately, you were not able to make a lot of the Riserva, which is now probably your most sought after wine. It was a challenging vintage, so you lost a lot of fruit, right?
Exactly. Yes, yeah. I really lost, I think, more than 30%. Somebody even a 50. So we are quite lucky in the bad situation, but quite lucky.
Yeah. So, well, fortunately, with the new vintage of the 2018, we'll be able to get more wine. Which is, we're not going to see that until the end of the year, but it's going to be a good vintage. So in terms of quality as well.
Was it also easier? My winemaker will kill me when I say easy, because for him it's nothing easy, obviously. But yes, it was definitely much more easy, that vintage. And so the plants didn't suffer too much. It was a good quantity. It was a nice production. Yeah. Luckily. Once in a while.
So I saw actually a question from the feed here asking, where is the vineyard of the Riserva? But you can explain that actually is a blend of different vineyards, right?
Yes, exactly. We can say in this moment I'm in the Coltasala, but I can move, I can cross the road, and we can go to the other side. There is the sun, so I think you cannot see, but I can show you some of the vineyards where we can bring the grape for the Chianti Classico and for the Chianti Classico Riserva. So both the two wines comes from the same vineyards. But we select, like I try to show you, but I don't know if you can see. See in the front of us?
Yep, we can see that.
You see, like we have two terraces. Most of the time, the upper part is the one that we use for the Riserva. The lowest one is the one that we use for the Chianti Classico. It's difficult to see. Yes, I was trying to find from this position. I cannot reach all there, because on the other side of that road you have more vineyards. So it's a selection of the best grapes from all over the vineyards.
Right. And for the regular Chianti Classico, is the same. It's a blend of different vineyards with a little difference compared to the Riserva, which is a pure 100% Sangiovese. The regular Chianti Classico, you put a little touch of Merlot.
Exactly. We put that touch of Merlot a little bit too round and make much more easy. You know, it's only 1 year of aging. So in the Riserva that we can age longer, we can go straight with Sangiovese. Sangiovese is not so easy type of grape. So a little bit more time of aging is always much better. So in 1 year of aging, we prefer to add that 10% to round a little bit.
Yeah. Too bad we can't see now the town, Volpaia. It's,
yes, it's
a beautiful 11th century village.
Yes, it's from here. If you want to walk with me, we can walk, but it's it takes like 10 minutes to walk up to Volpaia.
We don't want you to do a workout during this live.
No, that is the best. Please help me. Let me work out. Let me see if you can see. You see a house back there in the landscape. The dog, sorry, is also. Yes, that is the tiny building of Volpaia. Is the La Commenda. So you know the picture on the label of the Chianti Classico. There is the church, and that church is called La Commenda, and that one is the church that we can see from here.
That you now use for events, right?
Yes, usually we use like for big tasting or like weddings. Maybe we are going to move there, the Vendita Diretta, so the wine shop. We are doing new things in Volpaia, yes.
That would be a great idea, yeah.
Yes, so you can get in and get the soul of Volpaia.
Yeah. Well, tell our viewers here how you actually, your parents like were able to build a modern winery back in the 60s, when at the time there was not much, let's say, innovation, not in terms of winemaking, but in terms of just new facilities for modern winemaking in Volpaia.
Yeah, it's very particularly Volpaia because, as I mentioned, is a 12th century village. So when you have a 12th century village, you say, okay, how can I fit inside the technology to make the fermentation, for example? So the way was to open the roof, so empty totally inside the building, make it like a box, so all the walls are as they were, and then take out the roof and go through the roof with the crane and get inside the facility. And so this is the 12th century village, and then you realize that you are in a winery because you start to open the different doors and you find the activities.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I remember your mom saying that for barrels, the coopers comes and dismantle the barrel and then to go through the doors and then reassemble the barrel inside.
Yes, exactly. That was another crazy part. So they brought the barrels as they were built because they want to be sure that they were working. And then they had to unbuild and rebuild inside. So it was quite unique to see them working, because it's something that usually you never see if you don't go to visit them.
Yeah, yeah. Also, all your no, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying also all your vineyards are 100% certified organic since 2004, correct?
The certification arrived at that time, but it takes 3 years to get the certification.
Right.
So we did the conversion to get organically. Mm-hmm. But I can say that we were organic even before. We never used a pesticide in the vineyards always work the soil more than using stuff to kill the grass. So we can say we were organic since before, but we write on the label since I think 2010 or 2008, because at the beginning Now it's a fashion. Everybody talk about organic, but in the beginning, organic was smelly, not really good, or things like this. And so I said, okay, I write, oh, they were placing your wine in a different shelf. I said, no way. And so this is the reason why we start to write on the label a little bit later.
Yep.
In the meantime, I'm trying to move it to see if I can show you Volpaia.
Yeah.
So I'm walking around and go around.
Are you still able to jog in the morning?
Not allowed in Italy.
Okay. We don't.
It's like
we're not going to tell anybody. We're just live on our Instagram.
No, like actually, I had really to spend 3 weeks stuck in the house because I was sick, and so I didn't move myself for 3 weeks. So the only things I did was walking in the vineyards, and I was dying. So I hope I can start back jogging shortly. But here, this one is one of the Lake of Volpaia.
Mm-hmm.
We don't use the irrigation, because in the Chianti Classico, you are not authorized to use irrigation in the vineyards. You can use only in very extreme situation. And so, it's like 2017, but like you can go with the truck inside the vineyards and irrigate from with the truck, but you don't have the normal irrigation in the vineyards.
Mm-hmm.
And are you still doing marathon, Alessandro?
Let's not get there. That's another story.
That's okay.
Let's say I do something else. Mostly this time of the year where we are all quarantined. So
okay.
I just saw questions about, you mentioned that you planted herbs in the rows. So what kind of herbs you plant?
We use the normal herbs, but we use also erba medica, che non so come, è una leguminosa. È una leguminosa. It's the one that makes the
name.
Yeah, it's not very common, this type of herbs. Everybody uses usually favino, still on the same style, but this type of herbs is the one we mix rose flowers. Is a type of herbs that goes with the roots really deeply down.
Okay.
And this helps to bring organic food to the roots of the plant. So you don't do the classic sovecho. So we don't go through the vineyards and turn the soil. It's that type of herbs helps to bring the food down, have a really deep roots, and has like a tiny microorganism that goes on top and make organic food for the plants. It's quite uncommon. I just give it to you a secret. It's a special recipe of Volpaia. Yes.
I saw a comment saying fava beans. Fava beans is a different, and it's very common to use.
Yes. I'll give you another vineyard for the Chianti Classico. This one, I just moved to another place. So who wants to know where the Chianti Classico and the Riserva comes from? Also from this vineyard.
Yep.
So fava beans is the one that usually everybody uses.
How many vineyards you currently have planted?
Hectares currently now with that one should be 44.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
More or less. So I was trying to show you Volpaia, but I don't know if I can make it. Still walking around, as you can feel from my way.
While you're walking, why don't you say a few words about the other project that your family has and you are basically in charge of it in Maremma, Prelius?
Yes, I was there actually yesterday, and I went to check how was going everything. It's only 2 hours by car. But when we say is it totally microclimate, is it totally different microclimate? consider that there we have some Sangiovese, and it was big already like this. So like 10 centimeters out. So it's very different compared to here, that it's starting to show small leaves out. So there it's much warmer because we are next to the sea, and so it's a totally different microclimate. You are much flat, much sea level. It's like 90 meters, 90 feet above the sea level.
Nothing.
So it's almost
the sea
at
level,
the sea level. Yes. And but it's there we make a very interesting white wine that is the Vermentino.
Yep.
And then a Cabernet Sauvignon, 100% of Cabernet Sauvignon. So very different compared to a Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa, because it's a Cabernet Sauvignon with much more like earthiness from Italy. And then we are coming out with a new project, Trile, that is a blend, is a 2015 vintage, the first vintage that we made, lucky vintage, is a Sangiovese, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a 20% of Merlot. So it's the best grapes from all over the vineyards.
Right. And Prile is the name of the town, correct? And also the name of the used to be the lake.
Yes, it's the town near Prelios, Prile. It's Castiglione della Pescaia, and the lake that was there before was called Prelios at the time of the Romans, and Prile after. So we can say that Prelios is the Cabernet Sauvignon, so our starting type of wine. And Prile is like the evolution, and so it's like the second step that we came out with the wine, and as it was the name. So Prelius is Roman, and then Latin became Prile.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm more or less able to show you. I was not able to get, but there,
Yes,
up there, you
much
see
clearer
Volpaia.
now. Yes.
Yes, you can see a bit better what is Volpaia, and we are in another vineyard.
And let's remember that Volpaia is one of the highest elevation vineyards in all Chianti Classico, which is not easy to get high elevation vineyards. So
exactly, because somebody else have one vineyard or another one up in the high elevation, but not all the vineyards are so high elevated. So it's quite different and unique for the place.
cool.
So it makes a big difference after in the climate of the place.
Yeah. Well, I would like to open the floor to some questions if you guys have any. We already answered to a couple, so let us know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will leave it to Federica for some closing remarks or like something else that you want to cover before finishing this Instagram live.
Not too complicated question anyhow. Questions are allowed, but not too complicated.
Yeah, it's okay. You can say things that are not true. It's April's Fool.
Yes.
Okay, well,
okay.
I guess we can wrap up this live stream now. Thank you so much, Federica, for your time. This was
thank you very
very
much.
educational. And thank you so much for, sorry?
I show you only because I got here at the back there in the background, you see Radda. So, you know, it's, now we make also an association between the Vignaioli di Radda. So now we are working more and more together between all the different producers of Radda. So we are becoming more a team and going around all together. That is very important when you have your neighbors that they are friends instead of something else. So it's fantastic.
Yeah, great. I actually saw another couple of questions. So they're asking about Citto. So where is Citto fruit coming from?
A little bit from Volpaia, a little bit from Prelius. Sometimes we source outside. It's a wine that we choose going around. So like sometimes we look to the fruits of a producer, we follow them, and then we bring to make the Cito. So we prefer to have that wine as fresh as possible. So usually we use the youngest vines, probably the vineyard that I showed you at the beginning of the show, of the live. There, that vines probably will produce some bunch of grape, and maybe we can use that one for our Cito this year. So something like this.
Yeah. Great.
And here you can see much better the work in the vineyards. You see one lane is done and the other one is not. So we are in another part of another vineyard of Volpaia.
And
to give you more an idea.
Yeah, there's another question which we already actually answered, is about if Volpaia still does tastings in the original church in town. The answer is yes. You answered earlier about the church where you do tastings. You still do the tastings at?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
Cool. Well, again, thank you, Fede.
Grazie mille, Ale. Veramente.
It was extremely educational for all of us, for myself, and I'm sure for our followers as well. Thank you so much also to our followers for staying with us for the last almost 45 minutes. Make sure to follow. Yeah, you know, you were worried about time to
yes.
But it goes pretty fast.
Yes.
Make sure to follow Castello di Volpaia's Instagram account at Castello di Volpaia. Fede is actually managing it. And please reach out either to us, the Wilson Daniels, for follow-up questions, or directly to Federica. So, well, have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, Fede. And
thank you
very
much. Yes,
and,
you too, please.
Yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you again in the States. And the same for me. And the same for me. I look forward to seeing you in your estate. Since I was supposed to be there very soon, but it's not going to happen anytime soon at this point. So.
No, unfortunately, no. I hope really all together we can get out more strongly from everything else. We need the support of each other, and I'm sure we can make it. Anyhow.
Yeah,
will be longer, but
we have to stay strong, but we'll make it, and the wine is gonna be great also in 2020.
Yes,
so
it helps a lot.
So.
When I was by myself for 3 weeks, it helped me a lot. When I was doing a phone call, live phone call with friends, a bottle of wine was helping very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay home and drink Volpaia.
Thank you. You too. Yes. Ciao Ale.
Ciao.
Grazie mille. A presto. Ciao dall'Italia. Ciao, grazie.